obviously they're a really, really good team. They're going to win a bunch of football games. They're experienced. Coach Garrett, that staff, they do an outstanding job on what they've built there. I mean, credit to them. You know, and you look back, just the number of guys they have that are returning starters. And probably from our perspective, we had a bunch of guys that really this is the first time they've ever played even 10 snaps of football, let alone play 3 quarters. So the game experience will pay off. I think especially you get later into 2022 for the guys up front and that many new starters that we had out there today.
And, the pass defense seemed to be something they exploited a little bit. What were you seeing that was
Well, how many pass calls did they have on the day? Yeah, you know, usually what you do is, I mean, there's a little give and take anytime somebody throws it. You may generate, you know, I look at it holistically. I think anytime somebody throws the ball a bunch down the field, and they do it well, credit to them, they're going to hit a few plays. I mean, I just think in this day and age of college football, that's a part of it. Now, if you go back and you were to look and somebody wanted to analyze and quantify it, I mean, you look number of pass attempts plus hurries plus sacks, you know, and so forth. We'll get better.
Troy, your best teams always have really good leaders, usually older guys. How would you describe the leadership aspect?
We're young, incredibly young. I mean, how many times since anybody's followed a college football game in an opener have you only had, what do we have today? I mean, only 4 guys that started last year in our opener. I mean, that hasn't happened. I don't know how many times that's happened in the last 40 years, not just here, but in all of college football. So we're in it for the long haul. And, you know, through the lumps and the hurdles and the whole bit, you know, I think if we can just keep getting some game action, it'll pay off when we get later into October, but especially in 2022.
Status on Lakota Wills? I know he left in the first quarter.
He did in the first quarter. We'll see.
As well as, how do you think the offense executed today? I know in that third quarter, a little bit of a lull, but in the first half, looked like you guys were moving the change.
We did. And yet, you're right. You know, in the third quarter, just being able to operate down after down, we got to be better that way.
And then Micah, thoughts on him, sophomore, performing pretty well in this opener, first time getting real game action. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, it was good for him to play. You know, he played just slightly last year as a freshman, and you look between him and Dane Kenneman and Ben Jefferson and Amari Terry, those 4 guys at that spot, I think they'll be good contributors as we roll through this season. Absolutely awesome. You know, how heartwarming it is to have the families there especially. And, you know, for them to be around the cadets, and you just think, especially the freshmen, you know, they left home probably about June 24th, and they've been here ever since. And for them to get a little bit of a weekend, a little bit of a break is fantastic for the cadets. But the spirit, you know, I think, you know, we all realize we never ever take anything for granted in life, and certainly that means being able to come to Falcon Stadium, and that was, you know, that if anything, I hope that's one thing that we are able to, just that gratitude that we have being able to play.
The inside linebackers seem to rotate a lot. They have the 2 groups. Is that something you intend to do for a while, or was?
Yeah, could. Yes, sir.
Where is that coming from? Is it just an open competition still? Is that what that reflects, or is there a skill set you prefer with each?
Well, if you're the Boston Celtics, you just don't play your starting 5 if Hondo's on the bench, and he's a pretty good player too. Or you got the Lakers, and they got a pretty good starting 5, but Michael Cooper's going to be a good contributor too. I mean, we're just trying to get those guys involved.
And then the offensive line was obviously a big focus with 5 new guys. Early, you know, without analyzing film yet, what did you think about this?
It's good for him to play. I think you do as much as you can trying to resemble and rehearse what a game's going to be like, but to be able to experience football on game day, it is, you know, for those guys, just being able to draw from any experience they possibly can. I mean, really, you look, I think coming into this game, what do we have? We had 1 guy that maybe had 1 start. That's one of those things, again, it'd be interesting to see at the 130 FBS schools how many times that's happened for an offensive line to go into the next season and just have 1 start that started the opener in the next season.
Having seen and felt what it was like to have everybody back What do you anticipate that next week is going to feel like being in that environment again?
You just got to get better fundamentally. I think that's where our focus is. I mean, just if week by week you can keep making some improvement, then you get later in the year, then you're going to be a better football team, and that's what we got to do. I mean, good part is we'll go to work on Labor Day, ironically, and go see where we can make some strides.
Can you explain what's happening at the kicker position? Obviously, the names on the depth chart weren't the kickers out there, or the kicker.
Sometimes it happens, where you have somebody else that goes there. It's not in Major League Baseball, you declare your starter the day before. That's what we put on there about 3 days ago. And so Matt kicked today, and thought he was solid with his kickoffs. And, it's not like he's 23 and he's been on a 2-year mission. I mean, he's a little bit, but we'll see. I think he's got a good leg.
This first in front of a giant crowd.
Yeah, for sure.
What's that like?
It was really surreal. It was really awesome to catch the ball, and I heard the crowd roar. So it was one of those moments you see on TV and you imagine yourself doing. So it was cool to live.
And you scored, see the flag.
Yeah, I saw the flag, and at first I thought they were gonna take my whole pick away, and they're like, "No, you got the pick." I'm like, "All right, it's fine then. I guess I'll let JJ live it down a little bit."
And Zion, obviously, corner has been one of the hotly contested spots, and you kept the spot throughout fall.
Sir.
How did you do that, and then what was it like to get out there and kind of feel the fruits of that?
Well, it's very competitive in the DB room. So I think a lot of the stuff is just coming into film, coming into practice, and just making those little corrections, not doing the same stuff over and over. And credit to the guys in the room is like you have to bring it every day. But just being able to come out here for my first real start at corner, it was honestly a dream come true. It couldn't be any better than this.
And you're from South Carolina, right?
Yes, sir, Greenville.
It's a lot closer to Navy than Air Force. How did you end up here as opposed to?
Well, I went to a camp on the East Coast, and Coach Vaughn was there, and we were in contact pretty much since my senior year all the way through. So it was the place for me.
And having that next week now with the game under your belt, how exciting is that going to be?
Oh, it's very exciting. Just being able to go back to the East Coast in the first place is exciting, but also having it on 9/11, just the history behind that is just it's so much more to the atmosphere and everything. So it's one of those games you live for, really.
And in general today, I mean, were you guys at all concerned about the pass defense, or was it just one of those, like Coach kind of described, it's a numbers game. They throw enough times, they're going to hit some. What were your thoughts as far as there?
They have a good scheme, I would say. They run a good offense, a lot of motion. They run a lot of max pro, so they pretty much just isolated our corners. They set a good game plan, and they know if you scramble, you're gonna get some passes. You're gonna throw the ball enough, like you said, you're gonna complete some balls. So I thought we played well overall, though.
And with them switching quarterbacks, was that a variable at all because they're different styles?
I would say no. One ran a little bit more, but they both pretty much did the same thing, I'd say.
Corbin, how was it having all those fans out there? It must have been awesome just to run onto the field and hear that today.
It was really surreal. I missed it from my sophomore year, and it was just. I remember when I was running out of the tunnel, I had a little moment, and I was like, man, being a senior, I'm like, this is just awesome to live. And Coach Rudd talked about it for our game. He's like, you got to be grateful for these moments. Not too many people get to play Division I football in front of 30,000 people. So I just took a little moment there, and I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Is there stuff you can build on for next week, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. We have a game under our belt now. We had a pretty young team, especially on offense. So we're just going to look at the film, correct it, and just get back at it and get after Navy.
Were there advantages to playing 55 minutes in an opener? Because a lot of times Air Force starters barely show up in the second half because it's lopsided. Today wasn't quite like that. Do you think that's going to work to your advantage?
I think so for sure. We just get game experience, and that was the first game our defenses played together, so we just get more chemistry and get more opportunity to just mesh together.
Definitely. I think it helps those guys who did turn back as well, who haven't played in a year. So just getting them to be able to get their wind back under them and their legs, I think that's a great opportunity. So,
what's your takeaway from this game? And how are you feeling?
I think we definitely could have played better, but I think we did a good job. We got the win, and so that's always good. There's some mistakes that we're going to clean up from the game, and we're going to clean up this week. But I think we did a good job overall, and we got the win. So.
And we finally saw Micah Davis on the field. Did you know this was coming for him?
Yes, sir. We see it at practice all the time, and he's a really good player. He's really athletic, and so it's just only a matter of time where he got his opportunity to make plays and stuff like that.
When you released the pass on third down that he brought in with one hand, did you think there was any way that was being?
I got hit, and so I was like, and then he caught it, and I was just like, that's Micah. So he does plays like that all the time, and so I wasn't surprised when he made the catch. You know, everybody's kind of like, ooh, like Micah made the catch, but that's something that he's capable of, so I wasn't too surprised.
And do you think there was advantage to needing to play 55 minutes, that you guys had that many snaps and played for that long, and now as you go into week 2, you have that under?
I think it's always good to get reps. It's never a bad thing to get over like more reps, and so I think we did a good job in getting a certain amount of reps, and making mistakes that we can look back at and okay, we're not gonna make this mistake next week or the future games in the future and stuff like that.
Well, and on that topic, for either of you, the start of the third quarter, what did you identify as some of the issues that were keeping you from getting in sync? I mean, there was one blocking penalty, so there was that, but was there anything else you could point the finger at?
Honestly, a lot of the credit goes to Lafayette's defensive line. They played a great game. Their linebackers came to play. Everybody came to play. And just little things like little chemistry things little kinks that we need to work out. I think once we work those out and you see those quick holes, I see them every time I'm running the ball. They're there for a second. If we can just hold it for just a little bit longer, just iron out the bad plays that we had, I think you'll see a completely different team.
Zeke, when you scored those touchdowns, was it a different feeling from last year, especially having the fans in the stands?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely different. I'm not used to that, obviously, and so I think it was definitely different. But same approach, scoring that you greet your O-line, because the O-line, without the O-line, it's not possible. And so and everybody else blocking too as well, the slots, the receivers, everybody. So yeah, it's good to cheer on with the fans and stuff like that. But definitely gotta make sure I go back and get good with the big guys and stuff like that.
Talking about the O-line for both of you, how did they assess their first time playing together? What do you think? How did they do?
I thought they did really well. Obviously, that's their very first time all playing together. And we're seeing who is going to be all the guys up front. And I thought they did really well. There was obviously little things that we could definitely improve on. And after time, I think definitely by next week, we'll have it all locked in.
See, for David to have that big catch today over the middle that gets knocked, is that dude just ready, poised for a big season, you think?
I think so, yes, sir. He practices hard every day, and we see it every day at practice what he's capable of. And like I said about Micah, and and so when he gets his opportunity to make a big play or it's anything, like we believe that he's gonna make that play, and we are confident in him. So
big game next week for September 11th. Just initial thoughts for next week, how incredible that's gonna be.
Obviously, it's against Navy, and so we want to make sure that's one of our goals of the season. And so, but we're also gonna approach it like every other week. Go 1-0 that week, and we're gonna practice hard and fix the mistakes from today. And so that's all we can do. We can only worry about us.
Just extremely honored to be able to play in that kind of stage on 9/11. Just remembering all those people. Just extremely honored.
How old were you? Were either of you born on 9/11?
I was about probably 7 months.
I was about a year. I was born in '99, so I was about a year.
So was that something? I mean, do you have any memory of when you kind of were first aware of that having been?
I just remember stories of my parents telling me about just the difference in like airports and like how traumatic that day was and how it just changed the American culture.
Yeah, kind of the same with me. Like I'm from New Jersey, and so it's a little bit closer to me, and so definitely was something that was talked about growing up in school all the time and stuff like that.
Have you been to the memorial?
I have, yes, sir. When I was younger, though, it's hard for me to remember, but I have been when I was younger.
And Brad, how much do you pride yourself on the consistency you've been able to have? It's your third 100-yard game in 5 games that you've played, and the other ones were like 80 and 98. So I mean, you've kind of produced the same thing every time. How much do you take pride in doing that?
I take a lot of pride in that, but honestly, I wouldn't be able to do any of it without like people like Micah Davis or DC opening it up just across the middle, and then all the guys up front just leading the way. I mean, you saw several times today I kind of got stood up, and they just plowed me forward. And a lot of those yards, I mean, I give all credit to the offensive line.
Brad, you've seen Coach Calhoun for a while now. We see kind of a stoic guy. He doesn't really change emotion a lot. You guys were chanting his name in there. Was that for anything in particular after the game today?
Not anything really particular, but he's just a great coach. He knows what he's doing. He knows the character he wants all of us to be, and he's just a guy that you kind of want to look up to. So I think that's why we are all chanting his name.
Having Navy right after this game, I mean, I know you say it's like any other game, but it's only in week 2 and it's one of the bigger games on the schedule. How do you turn the page right away and start preparing for that?
I think a lot of it, this summer we've seen every single defensive front. We know what we're going to be going up against. And really, we just got to worry about ourselves. It's not so much about Navy, it's about ourselves. We can play a really good game, not a necessarily perfect game because those are pretty much impossible, but if we can play a really good game, execute our game plan, I think we'll have a really, really solid chance.
Yeah, just what he said. You know, just not dwelling on this game. You know, we gotta look forward and know that gotta move on to the next week, and we gotta stay humble. You know, like we can't get boastful and think just because we won this game that we're gonna do whatever next week. You know, we gotta just stick to the game plan the coaches give us and lock in.
And are you gonna have a lot of friends and family?
I am, yes sir. Yeah.
And they probably haven't seen you play since high school, right?
They haven't, not in person, no sir. So it's gonna be exciting to definitely have my mom and my brothers and sisters and just everybody come and see me for the first time. So that's nice.